She promised it was just a quick business trip, a 2-day conference in Miami. Nothing out of the ordinary, she said, tucking clothes neatly into her suitcase. But there was a flicker in her eyes, a brief pause before her goodbye kiss that felt too deliberate, too rehearsed. I longed to believe her. We'd woven a life together over years, filled with shared rituals and tender routines. Yet a subtle distance had crept between us. Her phone was always in hand, clutched as if guarding classified information. Her smartwatch buzzed constantly, and she'd glance at it, tilting her body to shield the screen, like a child hiding a secret journal. The warmth that once united us was unraveling, replaced by vague responses and a quiet withdrawal. Still, I kept my doubts silent. I needed more than instincts or suspicions. I needed concrete proof. She mentioned her flight was scheduled for Thursday morning. I hugged her, mustered a smile, and said I'd miss her. On the surface, I was calm. Inside, I was already planning my next move. Her name was Madison, and she believed she was cunning. What she forgot was that months ago, I'd helped her link her smartwatch to our home network to streamline sharing music and workout data. She never revisited that setup, but I hadn't forgotten it. The night she left, I stayed up, monitoring the data from her watch. At 11 p.m., her heart rate spiked. Strange for someone supposedly settled in a hotel. Then at 3 a.m. movement registered. Finally, a location ping appeared. It wasn't her hotel. It wasn't even in Miami. That's when the truth crashed over me like a wave. This wasn't a work trip. It was something deeply personal. We had plans that weekend to celebrate her father's retirement with her family, but she canceled, citing work demands. I told them I'd still attend. Her family was heartbroken, especially her dad, who had always treated me like a son. It hurt to know what she was really doing while he waited for her. Their living room had a smart TV, the same brand as her watch, connected through our shared cloud account. I still had full access. At the party, I smiled, greeted everyone, and talked with her mom. I waited for the right moment. During dinner, her father stood to give a toast, and the room brimmed with love. That's when I announced that Madison had left a special message for everyone. Her mom clapped, overjoyed. I pulled out my phone, connected to the cloud, and mirrored the screen. The TV lit up with Madison's name. At first, it showed routine data, steps, heart rate, fitness logs. Someone laughed, commenting on her fitness dedication. But then, notifications appeared. Texts from an unknown contact. Already missing you. Last night was incredible. You forgot your hoodie, love. Then photos loaded, selfies of her in bed, a wine glass in hand, a man's arm wrapped around her bare shoulder. More images followed. The man shirtless kissing her neck. All time-stamped, all geotagged. Not Miami, not a hotel, but a private beach house in Key West. The room fell into a heavy silence. Her mother gasped. Her brother's hands balled into fists. Her father stared at the screen, motionless. I stood quiet, letting the images speak. Then, to drive it home, I opened her messages. I hate sneaking around. Maybe one day we won't have to. Don't worry, he's oblivious. Just act normal when I'm back. A guest whispered. What's going on? I stepped back, arms folded, heart pounding but voice steady. She said it was a business trip. I told them. You all deserve to know the truth. Her mother stared at the screen, shock carved into her features. Her brother's jaw tightened. Her father left the room without a word. This can't be her device, her mom pleaded. It's hers, I said. Linked to our cloud. These are her messages, her photos, her watch. Then I played a final piece, a voice memo. Madison's voice. Next time, use a fake name for the rental. Can't have the date on the receipt again. Delete this later. Seriously. Another memo followed. He's starting to suspect something. Might have seen a text. I'll make up a work emergency or something. I stopped the playback and faced the room. Her family, who had embraced me as their own, who had trusted and loved her. Now they saw the reality. I didn't want this, I said quietly. I just needed to know I wasn't losing my mind. Now I do. Her mother cried softly into a napkin. Why wouldn't she tell us? She asked. Because liars don't just hide their actions, I replied. They lie to maintain the image they want you to believe. Her brother asked. What's next for you? I've already spoken to a lawyer, I said. Divorce papers are being prepared. She'll receive them this week. The silence that followed felt final, like the end of a chapter. I said my goodbyes and left. I didn't need to stay in the aftermath. They'd seen enough. That night, she called repeatedly, then texted. How could you do that at my parents' house? Please talk to me. You humiliated me in front of everyone. That was cruel. I didn't reply. I didn't block her either. I let the silence echo, wanting her to feel the weight of her own deception. I wanted her to hear the truth's roar when her lies crumbled. At 2 a.m., one final desperate text. I didn't mean for it to go this far. They never do. No one sets out to ruin a marriage. They just don't stop when the excitement feels too good to resist. The days that followed were oddly peaceful. I avoided mutual friends, ignored the gossip, and threw myself into work. But the consequences came regardless. Her family stopped defending her. Her mother called me, not her, to apologize. She made terrible choices, she said. I don't understand what's happening to her. I thanked her, but forgiveness wasn't mine to give on Madison's behalf. That was her burden to bear, and mine to let go. At first I felt alone, but then others spoke up, old friends, former co-workers, even someone from her college days. This wasn't her first betrayal, just the first that couldn't be hidden. I realized this wasn't just about me. It was about who Madison was when no one was watching. Now the truth was out, and there was nowhere to hide. I thought the worst part would be discovering the affair, seeing those photos, reading those texts, watching her family's shock. But the heaviest blow was the silence that followed. The raw, suffocating truth lingering like smoke after a fire. Madison didn't give up easily. She called, texted, even showed up at the house one night, crying at the door, begging to talk. I stood still on the other side. She claimed it was a mistake, insisted it wasn't serious, swore she was ending it and wanted to fix things. Not our relationship, but the image she'd so carefully built. I said nothing. When she finally left, I watched from upstairs as she sat in her car, waiting for me to come out. I didn't. That was the last time I saw her, but it wasn't the end. I later learned the man was Tyler, a colleague from another office. I pieced it together when I saw his name in a private photo folder. A former coworker of his mentioned his reputation for charming flirtations. This time, though, the damage was far from harmless. It was shattering. I didn't need to confront him. A clip from the party spread online and went viral. People connected the dots. Madison's carefully crafted world began to fall apart. Friends distanced themselves. Her family grew quiet. Even her strongest allies faded. Then her father sent me an email, a short note. He thanked me for how I handled it, said he was heartbroken but respected how I'd honored his family. That unexpected message carried weight. A reminder that even when trust breaks, truth holds strength. I started rebuilding my life. I packed her things not out of anger, but because it was time to move on. She texted one night, asking where her belongings were. I sent the storage unit address and code. Nothing more, just what was fair. Healing came not from closure, but from rediscovery. I started running again, joined a photography club I'd always been curious about, reconnected with friends I'd drifted from. Each step helped me reclaim parts of myself I hadn't realized I'd lost. One weekend, I drove to the coast alone, leaving my phone behind. Just me and the ocean. I sat for hours, breathing in something I hadn't felt in years. True peace, the kind that fills you after you've been struggling for breath. That's when I knew Madison hadn't broken me. She'd exposed herself, and as painful as that was, it gave me clarity. It gave me freedom. I began writing it all down, not just the pain but the lessons. Over time, I wasn't documenting heartbreak, I was charting a comeback. Not to spite her, not to prove anything to anyone, but to show myself I could rise. Weeks later, Madison sent one final message. I hope you'll forgive me someday. I'll never forgive myself. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. I'd learned that forgiveness isn't about making peace with someone else. It's about giving yourself permission to stop needing anything from them. I was ready. I let go of the need for her to feel my pain. That's when I felt truly free. There was no anger, no bitterness, just space. Space between who we were and who I was becoming. The divorce was straightforward, no courtroom drama, no arguments. She didn't fight anything. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe she just wanted to disappear. I signed the papers and walked away feeling lighter than I had in years. Her actions taught me that trust is the cornerstone of any relationship. Without honesty, it's like a house built on sand. Beautiful until the first tremor brings it down. After everything settled, I spent more time with people who anchored me. My brother and I grew close again. He'd always had doubts about Madison, but kept quiet out of respect. Now we meet for burgers and football, living a simple, steady life. Friends encouraged me to date again, but I wasn't rushing. I wasn't trying to fill a void. I was discovering who I was and what kind of loyalty I needed in someone new. One evening, I attended a relaxed rooftop gathering. Nothing fancy, just music and good company. There I met Claire. It wasn't love at first sight, just an easy conversation about cameras, cheesy movies, and how even good people can make big mistakes. I didn't share my story right away, but when I did weeks later, she didn't flinch. "You deserve better," she said simply. No pity, just understanding. That's when it hit me. Healing doesn't come from someone else's regret. It comes from your own growth, from proving to yourself you can survive the worst and come out stronger. I don't know where Madison is now, and I don't linger on whether she feels remorse. That's not my burden to carry. She made her choices. I made mine. But here's the truth. When you let someone's own words reveal them to the people they swore would never know, that's justice. Not because you shouted it or tried to ruin them, but because you stopped protecting their lies and let the truth speak for itself. And the truth? It's always loud enough when you stop silencing it. So, to anyone who's been betrayed, deceived, or made to doubt their own instincts, hear this. You're not broken. You're not foolish. You gave love to someone who didn't deserve it. But that love is still yours. When you share it with someone worthy or use it to rebuild the parts of yourself that shine, that's the start of something extraordinary.